Hello, the name is Daman Dev Sood, your host for my weekly show, My Top Tips, every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. IST. These days, I've been delivering these sessions from Abu Dhabi and bit out of time early before the time because of early meetings with the clients. Today, the discussion is about document classification. I'll start with a little story. I recently faced a challenge with a client organization, trying to understand the concept of document classification as soon as they finished creating their BCM policy. This experience prompted me to discuss this topic in today's session of My Top Tips. So, in today's world, where data breaches and cyber threats are ever present, understanding and implementing effective document classification is more important than ever. Document classification is the process of categorizing documents into distinct groups based on their sensitivity and the level of access control required. The primary goal is to protect information from unauthorized access and ensure that it's used appropriately within an organization. Common categories include confidential, internal, public, and in some cases, classifications like the traffic light protocol, which in short is known as TLP. Confidential documents contain highly sensitive information, which, if disclosed, could cause significant harm to the organization or individuals. Examples include trade secrets, financial records, personally identifiable information, very famous these days as PII, and strategic business plans. Access to these documents is typically restricted to a select group of individuals on a need-to-know basis. For instance, consider a company developing a new product. The design documents, marketing strategies, and prototype information are classified as confidential to prevent competitors from gaining advantage. Breaching this confidentiality could lead to a loss of competitive edge and financial damage. Internal documents are intended for use within the organization, but do not carry the same level of sensitivity as confidential documents. Internal documents might include internal memos, departmental reports, and company policies. While they are not meant for public dissemination, their unauthorized disclosure is unlikely to result in severe harm. For example, an internal policy, for example, on remote working practices would be classified as internal. It's essential for employees to have access to this information to align with company practices. But if it were to be leaked, the impact would be low compared to a breach of confidential information. The third type of classification is known as public. These are those documents that are intended for general distribution and can be freely shared without any restriction. These documents often include press releases, marketing materials, and publicly available reports. The goal is to ensure transparency and communicate effectively with the public, stakeholders, and customers. A great example is a company's annual report. This document is designed to provide shareholders and the public with insights into the company's performance over the past year. Since it's meant for public consumption, it doesn't contain sensitive information that could be exploited. A more recent and sophisticated classification system known as the Traffic Light Protocol, or TLP in short, has been introduced in the world. TLP is a set of designations used to ensure that sensitive information is shared with the right audience. At times, we use that phrase, right information to the right person at the right time. This is developed by First.org. It uses color codes to define 4 levels. The first level is TLP red for the eyes and ears of individuals only. No further disclosure. This classification is used when information cannot be effectively acted upon without significant risk to privacy, reputation, or operations. For example, details of a critical security vulnerability discussed in a closed meeting. The second level is TLP amber. Limited disclosure. Recipients can only spread this on a need-to-know basis within organization and its clients. It has TLP Amber plus strict level also, which restricts sharing to the organization only. This classification is used when information requires support to be acted upon effectively, yet carries risks if shared outside the involved organization or organizations. The third level is called TLP green, means limited disclosure. Recipients can spread this within their community. This classification is used when information is useful to increase awareness within a wider community. TLP green information may not be shared outside the community. The fourth level on this TLP traffic light protocol is TLP green clear, which means recipients can spread it to the world with no limit to disclosure. This classification is used when information carries minimal or no foreseeable risk of misuse. Just last night, I came across a document, National Cyber Emergency Plan of the Government of Ireland. By name, my first impression would have been this to be a highly confidential document. But it has been released, marked as TLP clear, and clearly saying that recipients can spread this to the world. There is no limit on disclosure. Hence, I will attach that document in my LinkedIn post of this talk today. So, question about those specific documents about that client for that client. To help this client, I will pick up 3 documents: the BC policy, the risk register, and the BC plan. BC policy outlines the overall approach and objectives for business continuity. Given its strategic importance but general nature, it typically falls under the internal classification. It should be accessible. We can use must or shall if you want to be very clear. It should be accessible to all employees to ensure everyone understand the company's continuity plans, policies to start with. The second document is a risk register that contains information about the risks the organization faces, their potential impact, prioritization, and mitigation strategies. Due to its sensitive nature, the risk register is usually classified as confidential. Unauthorized access to this information could expose vulnerabilities and increase the organization's risk profile or exposure. The third document, BC Plan, provides detailed instructions on how to continue operations during a disruption. Similar to the risk register, this BC Plan should be classified as confidential because it contains sensitive information about critical business functions, recovery priority, and procedures. At the same time, I make it easy for them. Create a smaller version of the BC policy. I call it one pager and use it for mass display through notice boards, on the website, sharing with the clients directly or in proposals, etc. Create another smaller document, couple of pages. I call it BCM approach. Share freely with clients, again, directly or in proposals, etc. This could even be specific for each of their clients. The risks may be required to be shared publicly in annual reports, etc. But this still is a highly condensed version of the risk register. So I will never recommend a risk register being shared outside the company. So quick look at the importance of effective classification of documents. Implementing a robust document classification system is vital for several reasons. Firstly, it helps protect sensitive information from unauthorized access and potential breaches. Secondly, it ensures compliance with legal and regulatory requirements, which often mandate specific handling of certain type of information. And finally, thirdly, it fosters a culture of security awareness within the organization, as employees become more mindful of the sensitivity of the information they handle. But in doing so, there are some challenges as well. So a quick look at those challenges also. While the benefits are clear, implementing document classification comes with the challenges, its own challenges. These include ensuring consistent application across the organization, training employees to understand and adhere to classification guidelines, and integrating classification into existing workflows without causing disruption. So to overcome these challenges, my recommendations for any organization that organization should develop clear policies, establish clear, easy to understand classification policies that outline the criteria for each category. So repeatedly, clear, easy to understand classification policies. So TLP is a bit more advanced. Internal, confidential, public is easy. That may be the starting point for organizations at lower maturity level, like this client that I've been talking about. Second point, train employees. Provide regular training to ensure all employees understand the importance of classification and how to apply it correctly, and then to live with it and abide with that classification done for a particular document. Use technology, third point. Leverage technology to automate and enforce classification policies. Document management system can help ensure consistency and compliance. And the last point, as good practice, a recommendation for all organizations in practicing document classification is monitor and review. Regularly review classification policies and practices to ensure they remain effective and up to date with evolving threats and regulatory changes. While concluding, I would like to say that document classification is a foundational element of information security. By categorizing documents appropriately and controlling access based on their sensitivity, organizations can protect their valuable information assets, comply with regulations, and foster a culture of security. Whether using traditional classifications like confidential, internal, and public, or more sophisticated systems like the Traffic Light Protocol, TLP, the key is to implement a system that aligns with your organization's needs and ensures the right level of protection for all information or information assets. We use this term also. And hence, for the client organization that prompted this discussion, the traditional classification of confidential, internal, and public will suffice, and I won't recommend attempting the TLP yet. If you have any questions about this talk or resilience as a whole, please feel free to write to me at any time. I'll be happy to respond. This is your host, Daman, logging off from my weekly show, My Top Tips, every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. IST. While these days I have been doing differently. Earlier, being in Abu Dhabi and starting early client meetings. I look forward to seeing you all next Wednesday also with a new topic in My Top Tips. Thank you. Bye-bye.